The sky above Zarathus burned with streaks of fire and smoke. Giant machines clashed against living monsters, their roars and metallic clangs shaking the ground. Talon, a young scout from the planet Arvath, crouched behind a jagged rock, peering through the dust and chaos. He had never imagined war could be so terrifying. The battlefield was alive with movement, creatures of all shapes, some with scales, some with thick armored hides, fought ferociously against the relentless machines that advanced like a single. Talon's heart pounded as he watched the Gorvaks. These monsters, tall and muscular with jagged teeth and glowing eyes, had long been feared across the galaxy. Yet, as he observed them, he noticed something unexpected. The Gorvaks were not mindless killers. They communicated through growls and gestures, coordinating attacks with precision. Talon realized that in spite of their monstrous appearance, they were intelligent, skilled warriors. The ground shook as a squad of synths, the robotic invaders, advanced. Their metal legs churned the soil, their weapons emitted sharp blue beams. The Gorvaks charged, swinging massive claws and spiked tails while Talon, trembling, tried to keep pace. His own weapons were tiny compared to theirs, yet he moved with purpose. He had been drafted to fight alongside the Gorvaks, an honor that felt more like a curse. Just as a Gorvak raised its claw to strike a synth, a figure appeared on the ridge above the battlefield. Talon squinted. It was a human soldier. At first he could hardly believe it. Humans were small, fragile-looking, with slender bodies compared to the Gorvaks and even the smaller Arvath scouts. They carried strange devices, not massive weapons, like the Gorvaks, but tools that glowed and hummed with energy. Talon watched, his eyes wide with disbelief, as the human raised a small device and pressed a button. A precise pulse of light shot toward the synths, and the robots froze mid-step, their weapons locking. Another pulse, and a cluster of synths toppled over, as if an invisible hand had pushed them. Talon blinked. How could such a small being control these monsters? The human moved quickly across the battlefield, seemingly unafraid. Talon noticed how calm they were, despite the chaos around them. Unlike the Gorvaks, who fought with raw strength and ferocity, the humans seemed to understand the battlefield differently. Every movement was careful, every step planned. Talon had grown up among scouts and warriors, but he had never seen anything like this. A loud explosion shook the ground, throwing Talon off his feet. Dust filled his lungs as he struggled to stand. When he opened his eyes, he saw a Gorvak pinned under the leg of a fallen synth. Its growl turned to a roar of pain. Without thinking, Talon ran toward it. A human soldier appeared beside him, holding a device that emitted a soft, pulsing light. The machine lifted the synth leg as if it weighed nothing. Talon's jaw dropped. "Go," the human said, voice firm but calm. "Get out of the way." Talon nodded, helping the Gorvak to its feet. For a moment he felt something he had never felt in battle. Hope. Perhaps, he thought, these humans were the key to survival. As the fight continued, Talon began to notice patterns in how the humans moved. They did not charge blindly like the Gorvaks. They used the environment, ducking behind rocks, climbing ridges, and setting up traps with their small devices. When a group of synths advanced too quickly, the humans lured them into a canyon where a pulse device disabled the entire squad. Talon had to admit, grudgingly, that humans were clever. One of the humans, a young woman with sharp eyes and short hair, caught Talon's attention. She moved with confidence, her every action purposeful. Talon watched as she coordinated the Gorvaks, directing them to hold positions or flank enemy machines. She even saved a Gorvak from a trap by leaping into the danger zone and activating her device at the last moment. The Gorvak roared in gratitude, and Talon felt a pang of admiration for the human courage. Despite the human's skill, the battle was far from over. The synths were relentless, advancing wave after wave. Talon fought with everything he had, swinging his energy blade, firing small projectiles, and using the terrain to his advantage. Yet every time he thought they had gained ground, more synths appeared, their mechanical limbs tearing through the battlefield. During a brief pause in the fighting, Talon caught his breath behind a fallen boulder. His eyes met the human woman's. She nodded at him, a small gesture that filled him with determination. It was strange, he thought, how these humans could inspire confidence not just in their own kind, but in monsters and scouts alike. Talon had always believed that strength came from size and power, but here he was seeing something different. The Gorvaks grumbled, forming a defensive circle. They had fought many battles before, but never with humans. Talon could see their skepticism. Some of the larger Gorvaks sniffed the air and glared at the humans as if questioning their usefulness. But when a synth squad attempted to break through, the humans acted quickly. They set up a trap that caused the robots to stumble. Then the Gorvaks struck with their massive claws, taking advantage of the opening. Talon realized that humans and Gorvaks complemented each other. The Gorvaks had raw strength, terrifying, and unstoppable, while humans had brains, strategy, and quick thinking. Together, they were stronger than either alone. It was a lesson Talon had not expected to learn so quickly. Hours passed, or maybe it was days. Talon had lost track of time in the chaos. The sky darkened, filled with smoke and embers. Yet despite exhaustion and fear, the humans never faltered. They moved with precision, always observing, always thinking ahead. Talon, though tired and battered, began to feel a strange sense of pride. He was fighting beside humans, learning from them and surviving because of them. As night fell, the battlefield quieted. Fires burned, and the occasional clank of a mechanical limb echoed through the ruins. Talon looked around. Many Gorvaks lay injured or dead, but so did many synths. The humans moved among the survivors, tending to the wounded, repairing devices, and coordinating the remaining fighters. Talon had never seen such care in the middle of war. Humans were not just warriors. They were leaders, healers, and thinkers. Talon sat on a rock, exhausted but alert. He looked at the stars above Zarathus, twinkling despite the smoke and fire. Somewhere among those stars, he realized, humans had conquered far more than monsters and robots. They had conquered fear, doubt, and the chaos of battle itself. Talon felt a strange respect and curiosity swell inside him. He wanted to learn more, to understand how such small, seemingly fragile beings could wield such strength, not in muscle, but in mind and spirit. A sudden roar brought Talon back to reality. A group of synths had bypassed the main defenses. The humans reacted immediately, forming squads and moving with astonishing speed. Talon joined them, following their lead, and for the first time he felt not like a scared scout, but like a part of a team. Together, humans and monsters moved as one, facing the enemy with courage and intelligence. As the night wore on, Talon realized something incredible. He had fought beside monsters, faced machines that could crush cities, and yet it was the humans who impressed him the most. They were not the strongest, not the largest, but they were fearless, clever, and unbreakable. Talon's eyes lingered on the human woman, Lieutenant Mara, who led a small squad with precision. She smiled briefly at him, a gesture of camaraderie. Talon nodded back, silently acknowledging what he had learned in the chaos of battle. Strength was more than size, and courage could shine in the smallest of beings. As dawn approached, Talon felt hope for the first time since the war had begun. The humans had arrived not just to fight but to teach, to inspire, and to lead. He knew the war was far from over, but he also knew that with humans in action, survival and perhaps victory was possible. And so, on the scorched fields of Zarathus, a scout from Arvath made a promise to himself. He would follow, fight, and learn from these humans, for he had seen something extraordinary. The power of humans in action was unlike anything he had ever imagined. The sun rose over the jagged plains of Zarathus, casting long shadows over the remnants of the night's battle. Smoke curled into the sky, and the distant hum of damaged synths still echoed through the cratered land. Talon moved cautiously among the debris, his eyes scanning the horizon. He had survived his first night fighting alongside humans and Gorvaks, but the memory of the chaos left a tight knot in his chest. Lieutenant Mara led her squad with calm efficiency, her sharp eyes noticing every detail, every movement. Talon followed at a distance, watching her as she inspected the battlefield. She gave orders with authority, not just to humans, but to Gorvax as well, pointing, gesturing, and directing them with ease. Talon realized something he had not understood before. Humans did not rely on sheer power. They relied on thought, observation, and planning. A group of Gorvax grumbled nearby, still uneasy about following human commands. One of the larger Gorvax, its hide covered in battle scars, stomped impatiently. "Why should we listen to these small ones?" It growled, its voice vibrating through the ground. Talon stepped forward, trying to explain, though his words were shaky. "They see the battlefield differently. They can predict moves, plan attacks. They are dangerous in ways we cannot understand yet." The Gorvax snorted but did not argue further. The humans had already demonstrated their power in the night, and Talon's words carried weight now. Suddenly the ground shook with a deep rumble. Talon froze as a squad of synths emerged from the distant hills. They moved differently than before, more coordinated, faster, and equipped with new weapons that glowed a harsh red. The humans immediately sprang into action. Lieutenant Mara raised her hand, and the squad split into smaller teams, each taking positions among rocks, craters, and fallen structures. Talon ran alongside them, trying to keep up. He marveled at their movements. Every human seemed aware not just of the enemy, but of their allies, the terrain, and the timing of every action. They were small, yet they moved with precision that made them seem larger than life. A synth scout charged toward a Gorvac, its metal limb striking the ground with powerful force. Before it could reach the monster, a human soldier leaped onto a rock, aiming a device at the robot. A pulse of light shot out, and the synth froze, wobbling like it had lost its balance. Then, with a single gesture, the human sent the robot crashing into a canyon wall. Talon's jaw dropped. He had seen Gorvax take down machines many times their size, but this was something else. The humans were not just fighting. They were controlling the battlefield, shaping it with intelligence and courage. Lieutenant Mara noticed Talon watching and gave a brief nod. "Stay close," she instructed. "Observe and learn. You'll need this." Talon nodded, feeling a surge of pride and fear at the same time. He had survived battles before, but he had never felt like he was truly part of a team until now. The humans were not only leading, they were teaching, guiding, and inspiring even the fiercest monsters to follow. The battle intensified. Synth reinforcements poured from every direction, and the ground shook with the power of their assault. The humans coordinated with the Gorvax flawlessly. Talon followed the instructions, ducking behind rocks, covering a Gorvac as it swung its massive tail, and firing at targets pointed out by the humans. At one point, a Gorvac stumbled into a trap laid by the synths. Its massive claws were pinned under debris, and it roared in frustration. Talon froze, unsure what to do. Then Lieutenant Mara appeared, moving with incredible speed. She pressed a button on her device, and a soft blue light enveloped the debris. The rock shifted just enough for the Gorvac to pull free. "Thank you," the Gorvac growled, its voice less gruff, more respectful. Talon realized that humans inspired respect not through size or intimidation, but through action and intelligence. Even the Gorvacs, proud and strong, could see their value clearly. As the battle raged, Talon noticed another trait that set humans apart: their selflessness. He saw a young human soldier dive in front of a charging synth to protect a smaller Gorvac. Another human carried an injured Arvath scout out of danger, risking themselves to save a life. Talon had always believed survival was the most important rule of war, but humans seemed to value something greater: courage and care for others. Hours passed, and Talon's muscles ached. Yet despite exhaustion, he felt a growing admiration for the humans. They never panicked, never hesitated, and never underestimated the Gorvacs or scouts like him. Each human moved with purpose, each decision calculated, each act of bravery deliberate. The enemy launched a new wave, larger and more organized than before. Talon could feel fear gnawing at his mind, but the humans did not falter. "Lieutenant, Mara called out instructions, guiding the Gorvaks and scouts with confidence. Traps were set, ambush points created, and the humans exploited weaknesses in the synth formations that no other species had noticed. Talon found himself learning instinctively. He observed the humans, copied their movements, and began predicting the synth's attacks before they came. It was as if their presence sharpened his mind, teaching him not just to fight but to think while fighting. A sudden explosion sent a cloud of dust into the air, and Talon was thrown to the ground. When he looked up, a group of synths had cornered a Gorvak. It roared, ready to fight to the last breath. But before it could act, Lieutenant Mara arrived with her squad. They moved in perfect synchronization, disabling the synths with pulses of energy and precise attacks. Talon watched in awe as the Gorvak was saved without a single human being touched. That moment cemented a truth for Talon. Humans were not just clever, they were remarkably brave. They faced danger without hesitation, guided their allies, and turned the tide of battles that would have been hopeless for any other species. By evening, the battlefield quieted again. Survivors regrouped, tending to the wounded and repairing what could be salvaged. Talon sat beside a human soldier who had noticed him watching throughout the day. "You've learned a lot today," the soldier said with a small smile. "Most. Scouts get lost in the chaos. You're paying attention." Talon nodded. "I've never seen anyone fight like this. Even the Gorvaks. They respect you." The soldier shrugged modestly. "It's not about being respected, it's about doing what's right. Protecting others, thinking ahead, staying calm, that's how we survive." Talon thought about that as he watched the sun dip below the horizon. The humans had revealed a new kind of strength, one that was not measured in muscle or claws but in mind, courage, and spirit. He realized that the battle had changed him. He would never see war the same way again. That night, as Talon lay among the ruins, he replayed the day's events in his mind. He remembered the small acts of bravery, the clever maneuvers, and the moments when humans had risked themselves for others. He understood that humans were not just fighters, they were leaders, thinkers, and protectors. And for the first time, Talon felt a deep sense of hope. The Gorvaks, too, seemed to understand. Even the largest, most skeptical monsters had begun to follow human directions without hesitation. Talon smiled faintly, realizing that the humans had achieved something remarkable. They had united monsters, scouts, and their own kind into a cohesive force capable of facing overwhelming odds. As darkness settled, Talon looked toward the horizon. The war was far from over, and greater dangers were coming. But he knew one thing clearly. With humans in action, even the fiercest monsters could stand strong. Talon felt a new determination rising within him. He would fight, learn, and grow alongside these humans, for he had seen their extraordinary abilities firsthand. And in the quiet of the night, among the embers of a battlefield, Talon made a silent promise to himself. He would never underestimate humans again. He had fought beside monsters, faced unimaginable machines, and now he had witnessed the humans' true strength. It was a strength that came from courage, intelligence, and the unshakable spirit to protect and inspire. Talon knew that in the battles to come, this strength would be the key to survival, and perhaps victory. The morning sun cast a pale light over the remnants of Zarathus's shattered plains. Talon followed Lieutenant Mara and her squad toward a hidden human command base tucked within jagged cliffs. Smoke still rose from scattered battles, and the air smelled faintly of scorched metal and scorched earth. Talon's muscles ached from endless fighting, but his curiosity burned stronger than ever. He wanted to understand humans more, how they could be so small, yet so powerful, in ways that no monster or scout had ever imagined. The base was a marvel of engineering. Humble from a distance, it was filled with advanced technology and organized chaos inside. Screens displayed real-time maps of the battlefield, glowing with symbols for Gorvaks, scouts, and synth positions. Talon's eyes widened as humans moved among the machines, adjusting controls, coordinating troops, and analyzing enemy patterns. It was clear that they were not just fighters. They were strategists, scientists, and engineers all at once. Lieutenant Mara led Talon to a corner of the base where humans and Gorvax worked side by side. "We adapt," she explained. "We observe, think, and adjust. Strength is not enough against the synths. You have to outsmart them." Talon nodded, still awed. He watched as a human engineer modified a small device, then handed it to a Gorvac. The monster grasped it clumsily, but when it activated the device, a force field expanded to shield an entire squad from incoming attacks. Talon had never imagined that monsters and humans could work so seamlessly together. He spent the day observing, asking questions, and learning. Humans explained their devices, showed predictive algorithms for enemy movements, and demonstrated clever traps that could turn the environment itself into a weapon. Talon realized that humans had mastered something the Gorvax could not, thinking ahead and planning for every possibility. Later, Talon was invited to observe a strategy meeting. Human commanders, alongside a few Gorvac leaders, gathered around, a holographic display of the battlefield. They discussed the next move. The synths were preparing a massive siege weapon capable of wiping out entire outposts in minutes. The humans analyzed its patterns, weaknesses, and potential vulnerabilities, while the Gorvax offered brute force ideas. Lieutenant Mara spoke clearly and confidently. "We cannot attack directly. We must lure it into a trap and use its own power against it. Timing, precision, and teamwork are everything. Every scout and monster will have a role. Talon, you will help coordinate the scouts." Talon swallowed hard. He had never been responsible for so much, but he felt a spark of confidence. He had learned from humans, and now he would put that knowledge into action. The first test came sooner than expected. Scouts detected a smaller synth squad approaching the base. Talon, alongside a few human soldiers, set up sensors and traps as Mara instructed. The humans moved with incredible efficiency, checking every detail, making sure each step was calculated. Talon tried to follow, replicating their methods, and for the first time he felt truly capable. When the synths arrived, the traps worked perfectly. Mines triggered at just the right moment, energy pulses froze the robots, and the humans and scouts struck with precision. Talon felt a thrill he had never experienced in battle before, not just fear or adrenaline, but control and understanding. Afterward, Talon and Mara walked through the battlefield. "You did well," she said. "You're learning to see like a human. It's not about strength, it's about seeing the bigger picture, anticipating moves, helping allies, thinking 2 steps ahead." Talon nodded, absorbing every word. He realized that this was the secret behind human success. They combined courage with intelligence, creativity with discipline, and selflessness with strategy. It was a combination that no brute force alone could ever match. As night fell, the humans prepared for the next phase. Scouts and Gorvax gathered to hear the plan. Talon noticed the confidence in their eyes, even among the monsters. Lieutenant Mara addressed the group, her voice firm yet inspiring. "We will face the synth siege weapon tomorrow," she said. "It is massive, but it is not invincible. Together, we will use its own strength against it. Trust in each other. Trust in the plan. Trust in yourselves." Talon felt a shiver run through him. The humans were not just brave, they inspired bravery in others. Even the largest Gorvax, who had once doubted them, now followed their instructions without hesitation. Talon realized that humans had something more powerful than any weapon, the ability to unite allies and instill hope. The next morning, the Alliance set out toward the synth siege weapon. The terrain was dangerous, cracked cliffs, deep ravines, and treacherous fields. Talon moved cautiously, following the humans' guidance. Every step was planned. Scouts scouted ahead, Gorvax created diversions, and humans coordinated with subtle gestures and devices that seemed almost magical in their precision. When they approached the siege weapon, Talon was awed. It was enormous, towering over the landscape, its metal surface glowing with lethal energy. Gorvax growled in defiance, ready to charge, but Mara held them back. "Patience," she said. "We fight smart, not blind." The humans activated a network of devices around the weapon. Talon watched, fascinated, as energy beams connected, pulsing in rhythm, mapping the weapon's movements and weaknesses. Each human had a role: one monitored sensors, another calculated timing, a third coordinated Gorvac movements. Talon had never seen such harmony in battle. Then the plan unfolded. A small team of humans lured the weapon toward the traps. As it moved, Talon and the scouts triggered the devices they had placed, creating a cascade of energy pulses and controlled explosions. The siege weapon faltered, struggling to maintain balance. The Gorvac struck at the perfect moment, smashing its limbs and disabling critical systems. Talon's heart pounded as he witnessed the culmination of planning and courage. The human's ingenuity had turned an impossible situation into a victory. The siege weapon collapsed, a heap of sparks and shattered metal, and the battlefield fell silent. In the aftermath, Talon walked among the survivors, helping the wounded and cleaning up the debris. The Gorvacs, though still fierce and proud, looked at the humans with newfound respect. Talon felt proud too, not just of himself but of what humans could achieve. They had taken a deadly enemy and turned it into a triumph through thought, teamwork, and courage. That night, around a small campfire, Talon spoke to Mara. "I don't understand how you do it," he admitted. "How can you be so small and yet so powerful?" Mara smiled softly. "It's not about size, Talon. It's about thinking, planning, and caring. Bravery is not just fighting, it's helping others, taking risks for the right reasons, and seeing possibilities that others cannot. Humans are small, yes, but our strength comes from what's inside, not outside." Talon stared into the fire, feeling the truth of her words settle in his mind. He had fought beside monsters, faced terrifying machines, and yet it was the humans who had taught him the most important lesson. Strength was more than muscle and power. It was courage, intelligence, and heart. He realized that in the battles to come, it would not be enough to be strong or fast. To survive against the synths and whatever else the galaxy held, he would need to think, plan, and fight with both mind and spirit, just like the humans. And as the fire crackled in the night, Talon made another promise: to fight, learn, and grow alongside these remarkable beings, to understand their ways and to stand ready for the challenges that lay ahead. For he had seen the true power of human ingenuity, and he knew that with it, even the most fearsome monsters could rise to victory. The battlefield of Zarathus was alive with chaos once again. The synth forces had regrouped overnight, their numbers greater than ever. The massive siege weapon that had fallen yesterday was replaced by a new, even more powerful machine, its metallic body gleaming with energy. Smoke and sparks filled the air as the machine stomped forward, its weapons ready to obliterate anything in its path. Talon's heart raced. This was the moment he had been both dreading and preparing for. Lieutenant Mara stood at the front of the human squad, her gaze steady on the advancing enemy. Beside her, humans, Gorvacs, and scouts prepared for battle. Talon felt a sense of unity stronger than anything he had ever experienced. Humans were not just fighting, they were leading, and every being on the battlefield followed their guidance with confidence. "Remember the plan," Mara shouted, her voice carrying over the roar of approaching machines. "Patience, timing, coordination. We fight smart, not blind. Every move counts." The humans split into squads, each moving to strategic positions. Talon followed closely with a group of scouts, while Gorvacs positioned themselves to flank the synth army. The humans had taught them well. Every soldier and monster understood their role, moving in harmony as if the battlefield itself were a single organism. The first wave of synths approached, smaller but fast, attempting to overwhelm the humans and Gorvacs. Talon's pulse quickened, but he remembered what he had learned. Observing, thinking, acting. These were the keys to survival. When the synths charged, Talon fired from cover, taking down their sensors while a human squad activated, a trap that froze several robots in place. The Gorvacs leaped into the opening, smashing the immobilized machines with perfect timing. Talon was amazed. Humans were not just participants, they were conductors of the battlefield, orchestrating every strike, every movement, every counterattack. Even the Gorvaks, fierce and proud, followed orders with precision they had never shown before. Suddenly, the massive synth machine appeared on the ridge. Its towering frame emitted a low mechanical growl as its energy cannons powered up. Talon froze for a brief moment, but Mara's calm presence steadied him. "This is it," she said, her voice clear and commanding. "We move as one. Every human, every monster, every scout, together. Now." The battle began. Humans moved first, drawing the synth machine toward the trap set by scouts and Gorvaks. Energy pulses lit the ground, sensors triggered, and small explosions disoriented the massive robot. Talon watched in awe as the humans coordinated the attack flawlessly. They did not just attack, they analyzed and adapted with every second, predicting the machine's reactions and adjusting the plan on the fly. A group of synths attempted to flank the humans, moving quickly to cut off their allies. Talon ran alongside a human soldier, mimicking her movements and firing at targets she indicated. The humans were everywhere at once, moving in ways that seemed impossible. Every action was deliberate, every decision precise. Talon felt a surge of determination. He could do this. He could fight like a human. The Gorvaks charged at the massive machine, swinging claws and tails, but even their strength alone was not enough to stop it. Mara raised a hand, and the humans activated devices that sent precise energy pulses at the robot's joints. Talon watched as the machine staggered, its movements slowed by the clever coordination of humans and monsters. One of the Gorvaks roared, in frustration. "It is too strong," it bellowed, its massive body shaking the ground. Mara did not falter. "Then we outsmart it," she shouted. "Distract, delay, and strike together." The humans moved quickly, dividing into small teams that lured the machine into a narrow canyon. Scouts like Talon placed traps, while Gorvaks created diversions with raw power. Talon felt a rush of adrenaline as he activated a device he had been assigned, sending a pulse that disabled one of the robot's legs. The massive machine stumbled, and the humans seized the opportunity. Energy beams, pulses, and coordinated strikes hit the machine simultaneously. Talon fired at exposed joints following the directions of the human squad leader. The Gorvaks smashed at weakened points. Slowly, methodically, the once invincible synth machine began to collapse. Talon could hardly believe it. Humans were winning against an enemy far stronger than themselves. In the chaos, Talon noticed small acts of courage that inspired him. A human soldier dove in front of a falling Gorvak to protect it from debris. Another human rushed to repair a trapped scout working quickly under fire. Lieutenant Mara moved among them, directing, guiding, encouraging. Her presence was magnetic. Humans, Gorvaks, and scouts alike followed her without hesitation. Talon felt a surge of pride and respect. He had fought beside monsters and faced terrifying machines, but nothing had impressed him more than the human's ability to think, adapt, and inspire. The synth machine roared, swinging its massive arms, trying to crush the Gorvaks and humans. Talon ducked behind a boulder, narrowly avoiding destruction. Mara's voice rang out clear and commanding. "Focus on the joints. Hit the core when the leg is down." Talon followed the instructions, firing his energy blade at a weakened joint. A pulse from a nearby human device disabled the machine's weapon systems temporarily. The Gorvaks leaped, smashing with all their strength, while humans activated a network of devices that amplified the impact. Slowly, the towering synth fell to the ground, sparks flying from shattered circuits. The battlefield fell silent for a moment. Talon could hardly breathe. The massive machine, which had seemed unstoppable, moments ago lay in ruins. Humans, Gorvaks, and scouts alike stared at it, a mix of exhaustion and awe in their eyes. Mara's voice broke the silence. "We fight together, and we survive together," she said. "Every one of you played a part. Remember that." Talon walked among the survivors, helping the wounded and observing the humans. He realized that their power did not come from strength alone. It came from leadership, intelligence, courage, and teamwork. Even the fiercest Gorvaks now understood and respected the humans. That night, as the Alliance regrouped, Talon reflected on what had happened. He had seen humans lead monsters, outthink machines far stronger than themselves, and inspire courage in everyone around them. They were small in size, yet their presence reshaped the battlefield. He had learned a lesson he would never forget. Strength is not always physical, and true courage comes from the mind and heart. Around a campfire, Talon spoke to Mara. "I have fought monsters, robots, and enemies of every kind," he said. "But I have never seen anyone like the humans. They are incredible." Mara smiled softly. "We are not incredible because of our strength, Talon. We are incredible because we work together, we think, and we care. Courage is not about being the biggest or the strongest. It's about doing what's right and inspiring others to do the same." Talon nodded, feeling the truth in her words. He had fought beside monsters, seen the horrors of war, and faced death countless times. Yet it was the humans who had shown him the real meaning of strength and bravery. As he gazed at the stars above Zarathus, Talon knew the war was not over. There would be more battles, greater threats, and challenges that tested every skill and every ounce of courage. But he also knew that with humans in action, leading with intelligence and heart, victory was possible, even against the most terrifying foes. And in the quiet of that night, Talon made a promise to himself. He would continue to fight, learn, and grow alongside humans. He would carry their lessons into every battle, every challenge, and every moment of danger. For he had witnessed the extraordinary power of humans, not in muscle or claws, but in spirit, strategy, and unwavering courage. The battlefield of Zarathus had changed him forever, and he was ready for whatever came next. The battlefield of Zarathus was quiet now, though the signs of battle were everywhere. Smoke rose from shattered machines, and scorched earth stretched as far as the eye could see. Talon walked slowly among the Gorvaks and human soldiers, observing the aftermath. Victory had been won, but it had come at a cost. Many monsters lay injured, and even the humans bore scratches and burns from the relentless battle. Yet, despite exhaustion and loss, there was a sense of pride, of accomplishment, that lingered in the air. Talon stopped beside a human squad repairing a damaged device. Lieutenant Mara noticed him and gave a nod. "The synth forces are retreating," she said. "For now, we've won. But Zarathus will never be free from threats if we forget the lessons of today." Talon nodded. He thought back to the beginning, when he had watched humans arrive and wondered how such small beings could survive against monsters and machines. Now he knew. Humans were not the strongest physically, nor were they the largest. Yet they had the power to inspire, coordinate, and overcome challenges far beyond their size. The Gorvaks had gathered nearby, observing the humans with expressions that had changed since the first day of battle. Once skeptical and wary, they now showed respect. One of the largest Gorvaks, its scales glinting in the sunlight, approached Mara and the human squad. "You fought well," the Gorvak rumbled, "not only against the machines but against fear and chaos. Your courage, it is not like ours, yet it is stronger than we imagined." Mara bowed slightly, smiling. "Thank you. But it is not only our courage. It is the courage of every being here. Humans, Gorvaks, scouts alike. Together, we can accomplish more than anyone alone." Talon watched the interaction quietly, realizing that humans had not only fought alongside the monsters, they had earned their respect. The Gorvaks, once seen as unpredictable and wild, now listened to the humans' guidance. Talon felt a sense of awe. He had never imagined that humans could lead even monsters with such authority and compassion. As the Alliance regrouped, scouts began clearing the battlefield, tending to the wounded, and gathering supplies. Talon moved among them, assisting where he could. He felt different from the frightened scout he had been when he first arrived. The humans had taught him to see the battlefield clearly, to think, to act, and to care. He felt stronger, not just in body, but in mind and spirit. That evening, Talon and Mara stood on a ridge overlooking the battlefield. The sun was setting, casting golden light over the scorched plains. Talon felt a quiet peace he had not known since the war began. "I never understood humans before," Talon admitted. "I thought you were fragile. But now I see. You are extraordinary." Mara smiled softly. "We are not extraordinary because of our size or strength. We are extraordinary because of how we choose to act. Courage, intelligence, teamwork, and compassion. That is what makes humans powerful. Strength alone is nothing without purpose." Talon nodded, feeling the truth of her words settle deep in his heart. He had fought beside monsters, faced overwhelming machines, and witnessed the most terrifying aspects of war. Yet it was the humans who had left the deepest impression. They had shown him that true strength came not from power, but from mind, spirit, and the ability to unite others. As night fell, a celebration quietly began among the survivors. Humans and Gorvaks shared food and stories. The atmosphere filled with laughter and camaraderie despite the scars of battle. Talon joined in, sharing tales of bravery and narrowly avoided danger. He noticed how humans always lifted others up, praising not just themselves but everyone who had fought bravely. Even the Gorvaks seemed to smile, their growls now filled with warmth rather than anger. In the quiet moments, Talon reflected on his own journey. He remembered the first day he had watched humans fight, doubting their abilities. He remembered the lessons of patience, observation, and strategy. He remembered the courage, the selflessness, and the ability to inspire others. All of these lessons had changed him. A sudden roar drew Talon's attention. A small group of remaining synths had returned, attempting a desperate strike. Talon instinctively moved with the human squad, ready to fight. Lieutenant Mara led the response with calm authority. Scouts, Gorvaks, and humans acted as one, neutralizing the synths quickly and efficiently. Talon felt a thrill of recognition. This was exactly what he had learned. Coordination, thought, and bravery could overcome even the most dangerous threats. The humans had not only survived, they had taught him how to survive, how to lead, and how to inspire. After the skirmish, Talon knelt beside a wounded Gorvak, helping it to rise. The Gorvak grunted, looking at him with respect. Talon smiled faintly. "We did it together," he said. And indeed, every victory had been a shared one, between humans, Gorvaks, and scouts. As the night grew deep, Talon sat quietly, gazing at the stars above Zarathis. He reflected on what he had learned. Humans were small, yes, but they possessed a power far greater than size or strength. They had courage, ingenuity, leadership, and the ability to inspire allies. Talon understood now that these qualities were the real weapons in any battle. Lieutenant Mara approached, standing silently beside him. "You've grown a lot, Talon," she said. "I've seen you lead scouts, help Gorvaks, and act with courage in ways that impress even the toughest monsters. You are learning to see the battlefield like a human." Talon smiled faintly. "I've learned from the best. You've shown me what true strength is." Mara's eyes softened. "Remember this lesson, Talon. The galaxy is full of challenges. There will be stronger enemies, larger threats, and harder battles. But if you face them with courage, intelligence, and heart, you can overcome anything." Talon nodded, feeling a new determination settle in him. He had fought beside monsters, seen the horrors of war, and faced enemies more powerful than he had ever imagined. Yet humans had taught him that the smallest beings can have the greatest impact, and that unity, strategy, and courage were more important than size or brute force. As dawn approached, the Alliance prepared to move from Zarathis. The Gorvaks, now allies, bowed respectfully to the human soldiers. Scouts gathered supplies ready to follow the humans into future battles. Talon stood among them, feeling a sense of purpose he had never known before. He knew that the war was far from over, that challenges would rise again and that greater threats awaited in the galaxy, but he also knew that with humans leading, inspiring, and acting with courage, they could face anything. And so, Talon made a silent promise. He would fight, learn, and grow alongside humans, carrying the lessons of bravery, ingenuity, and unity into every battle to come. He had witnessed the extraordinary in action, and he would never forget it. As the fleet prepared to leave Zarathus, Talon looked back one last time. The battlefield, though scarred, had become a symbol of hope. Humans and monsters had fought together, survived together, and grown stronger together. Talon understood that this alliance was more than a temporary partnership. It was a testament to the power of courage, intelligence, and cooperation. For the first time in his life, Talon felt truly confident about the future. The humans had shown him a path not just to survive, but to thrive in the face of any challenge. And as the ships lifted off, carrying humans, scouts, and Gorvaks to new adventures, Talon knew that the lessons he had learned on Zarathus would remain with him forever. He had fought beside monsters, faced impossible machines, and now he had seen the humans in action, and that sight, that courage and brilliance would stay with him for the rest of his life.